how concerned are you about the integrity of next week's elections?
I'm not that concerned about the integrity of the actual vote.
We had a national presidential election in 1864 when the nation was literally at war with itself. We know how to do this.
I am not concerned about the security of the election. I am concerned about the anxiety surrounding the election.
I'm not concerned about widespread fraud. I think that's a myth.
But Americans are unsure. A recent NBC News SurveyMonkey poll finding only 15% of adults are very confident that the election will be conducted in a fair and equal way. Secretary Johnson, people do pick up the newspaper. They might see a situation where some ballots got lost or mailed to the wrong person, and they might think, aha, there's that ballot fraud. What would you say to somebody who reads about these incidents and wonders whether mail-in voting can be carried out on a widespread basis faithfully?
We do not have absolutely perfect elections in our democracy. So if one were to read about something like that in connection with this election, don't lose heart, vote yourself, and have confidence in the results. The incidents of actual fraud are very, very low in connection with mail-in balloting.
In recent months, President Trump has fanned the flames of uncertainty with repeated attacks on mail-in voting and the overall election.
The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged.
Secretary Ridge, the president has been laying the groundwork for months now that there could be fraud in this election. What do you think of those remarks?
I guess I'm beyond disappointed because it undermines the historic legitimacy and importance of the most fundamental institution of self-government.
Secretary Chertoff, where do you stand on some of these remarks from the president?
Let me say first, to be crystal clear, there's no real prospect of widespread fraud in the election. You couldn't scale it to be widespread. There's no history of that happening. And everybody is very much on guard to make sure there isn't any monkeying around with the voting process. And frankly, sometimes when I hear what President Trump says, I feel like I'm listening to a banana republic dictator who's either talking about locking up his opponents or claiming that elections are rigged. Those are not consistent with American values and with constitutional values. And I hate to say it, but there are foreign powers who are gleeful at seeing how we have some domestic actors like Donald Trump working to undermine the unity of effort, which, of course, is right out of the playbook of Vladimir Putin.
Good evening.
Just last week, the nation's top intelligence official and FBI director warned of efforts by both Russia and Iran to interfere in the election.
These actions are desperate attempts by desperate adversaries.
What do you think Russia may be trying to do with regard to our election?
They're trying to to change opinions, to drive outcomes by affecting opinions vis-a-vis the election. So I would say to those who might take a look at the social media, they're best to be skeptical.
How concerned are you in the days following the election, November 3rd, about this tension that exists in our country right now really boiling over?
Yeah, I would say people just need to take a deep breath and let the counting proceed.
It's really important for Americans to understand that the delay in the final count is not in any manner, shape, or form evidence of widespread fraud. As a matter of fact, I think all of us could make a very good case that the kind of review that those local officials go through in terms of barcodes, in terms of technology, verification and validation of the signatures, frankly, enhances the security around those absentee ballots. November 3rd is the last day to cast your vote, not the last day for the vote to be counted.
The president just tweeted this week, must have final vote total on November 3rd, and said something similar yesterday. How much of a problem is that, Secretary Chertoff?
Donald Trump has done some dog whistling out there to some of his supporters, suggesting that somehow this is going to be an illegitimate result. It is not conceivable that there will be any kind of significant or material fraud in this election. We have a widely distributed set of election officials. It would be impossible for someone to orchestrate a massive fraud.
Have you all already voted? Show of hands, or are you going to vote next week?
Already voted.
I'm going to drop mine off today.
I'm going to wait in line no matter how long it takes.
It's really so extraordinary to have, bipartisan Republicans, Democrats sit down because they wanted to reassure Americans. They want to say it's going to be fine and to be patient. Secretary Ridge, who served under, he was the first Homeland Security Secretary under President Bush, he said 3 times the same thing. He said, November 3rd is the last day to cast your vote. It is not the last day to count your vote. You should expect that because of the pandemic and the mail-in votes, it's going to take a few days.
Not only was the conversation reassuring, the top line takeaway, and they both said it several times, variations of it, there's no real chance for widespread voter fraud. Yeah. There's no real chance for widespread.
Because of the way we conduct elections, county by county, state by state, it's just, you can't pull that off. But there is, foreign interference that we know about and reported on, but it was a fascinating
I feel reassured.
We'll put it online.
Yeah, I feel reassured.
If you do, then they did, that's what they wanted to do.
Yes, they did their job.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.